Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? My name is Ebeli Dume, and apparently, I'll be taking you for today's class. I am coming all the way from Delta State to Ibadan for the very first time, and I came over to the studio, and I was given the opportunity to speak at this class today, and so I'm very, very humbled to be here. I want to thank Leye for giving me the opportunity actually to speak here because it's actually a privilege. I've never done this before, so this is my first time on live TV, and so I hope that we are all able to catch on with how I handle the class. All right, so good evening to you again. I am Abel Idume, like I said before. I'm the one who did the Sapele water design some time ago, if you remember, from the locally made challenge. I hope that we are all ready to learn today. I hope we are all here with our pen, pencils, paper, and laptops to learn from this class today. So, today would be talking on composition and layout. I want to assume that we have been following from previous classes how things have been going. I think yesterday we worked on typography, and yes, I want to believe that we have all been learning from the whole series thus far. I know Leia is a great teacher, and the men here that have been taking our classes, they are really, really good people. Trust me, these people around me are good. And so I want to say that, I want to believe that we are all, I want to believe that we are all following thus far. We have been following. So, first off, how are we all doing? I'm seeing comments. I want to know how we are doing. Yes, so I can see Oseti Moria asking me apparently. Apparently, yes, it wasn't planned. Apparently, I'm taking today's class. So, someone is saying, well done, welcome, Delta and Blood. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've actually gotten that a lot from a lot of people here. Welcome, Delta person, Delta boy. So, thank you so much. Yes. Um, yeah. So, someone says, love the Sapele design. Femi Awojana, love the Sapele design. Thank you very much. I am humbled to see that or to hear that. Thank you so much. Great boss from Bolua Tife. I'm not a boss, please. We are all learning here. Great, said man like Abel. Thank you, bro. Man like great as well. So, let's go on with the class. Today we are going to be talking on composition and layout. And yes, like I said, this is a continuation from all that have been taught in the class. So we can dive right in right now. So here on my screen, I'll be presenting a few things to you. These are not very comprehensive, they are not very detailed, but I will share a link to you. I'll share a link that will take you to the website where we got most of this from because these were not custom made from this studio. I lifted some of this from a website, so I'll give you a link to that website where you would find out everything here. There's even a video as well, so this will guide you to help you, understand better what we are learning today. So going right in, what is composition and layout? These are one of this is one of the principles of design, actually one of the major principles. Like some people would say, it is the underdog of design principles because it's not spoken much about. Nobody talks about it like that, as the way people talk about, say, typography and all of that, color. So composition is actually one of the very most important building blocks of designs. Composition and layout are those things, is that thing that give your work structure and makes it easier to navigate, um, from the margins on the sides to the content in between, that is from the edge to the inside the content. So I'll be showing you something right now. If I'll be showing you my screen right now. Okay, okay, okay. So I'll be showing you my screen right now, and yeah, please, my screen. Yes. So this is a room, right? I'm very sure we all know what this is or what this means. This is the room being scattered, right? So the room, usually for architecture, right, or for anything at all, any space, there is meant to be composition, or there's meant to be a layout of how things should be. And so this room is a space that is meant to have composition as well, or that is meant to have a particular layout, and right now the room is messed up because the person in there has not followed the layouts that the room is supposed to have. If you go into this room right now, there is a 90% probability that your feet would be stepping on or hitting something on the ground or on the floor because the room is messed up. There is no obedience to the layout that it has been given, and not because the things on the ground are not important. They are all important. I mean, these are the person's clothes. They are not to be thrown out. But here you can see that the important things are on the ground because they have not followed the composition that is meant to have. So if you check this room now, this is someone else's room, and everything is well arranged and well done. Not because the person does not have clothes, not because the person does not have, stuff that can be scattered, but the person has arranged everything in a way that the room, you can easily navigate the corners of the room, right? And everything, there is a breath of fresh air. You would most likely want to step into this room rather than going into the other room, right? So that's how it is with composition and layout. And so, like I said, the link I said I was going to share with you earlier, you can write this down after the class. Go and check it out. This is where we got everything we'll be using for this class, beginning graphic design by edu.gcfglobal.org. So make sure you write it down after the class. Ensure to check out the websites. There's a video there that will guide you on everything that we have or that we will talk about today. So layout and composition. This is like a summary of everything. Here we have the beginning part of this design, which is on the top left area. This is the bottom left area, and then this is the right hand side of the design. There is not so much details here, as you can see, but from this you would know that it's kind of a predeterminate that would help you determine how your design should be. This is like your avatar here, and text and other important information can come in here. So this would guide you to design stuff better, right? This is basically what composition is about. Why is it so important? Why is composition so important? It's important because it's basically how things should be arranged. When you go somewhere, you want things to be arranged. You don't want everywhere scattered and things just all over the place. It doesn't matter if you are working with text. It doesn't matter if you are working with images, elements, or anything. Without composition, your work would be falling apart. Sincerely speaking from experience, your work would literally fall apart. Okay, so moving on, there are about 5 basic principles of composition and layout. There are 5 principles of composition and layout. It's on my screen right now, and this is proximity, this is white space, alignment, contrast, and repetition. So we will be talking about everything here, one after the other. But before then, if you have any questions so far, make sure to put them on the comment section so that we can easily address it before we go too far, or even if we are not able to address them now, we will address them after the class, like after everything is done here. Okay, so proximity, white space, alignment, contrast, and repetition, and we'll be talking about this one after the other. So right now we're talking about proximity. What is proximity? So proximity is about using the visual space to show relationships in your content. That is having to show relationships between, for example, this is Kenya Reed, right? This is Kenya Reed, and this is web designer. You can see that there is a closer proximity between this name and this title than it is to all of this. This is like an address, or this is a phone number, this is an email address, this is a website address. So this is like a way for you to reach Kenya Reed. This is Kenya Reed, who he is and what he does. And so you can notice from here, I'm sure the last class there you were taught proximity, but this is in application to visual designs now. Kenya, this graphic now explains who Kenya Reed is, but inside explaining who he is, it shows you his name and what he does, and also where you can find him. That's a different area, and all of these icons, they are related to what this person does, but then they are put on the right because everything cannot come in one place because there has to be proximity. That's basically what it means. It helps you to show relationships in your content. So related items are grouped together, and other related items are also grouped together. This is the name and who he is, what he does, grouped together here. This is the address, where to find him, how to reach him, grouped here. And then this is basically in relation to what he does. Probably he's a website designer, website guy, coder, or a developer. So all of those information are on the right hand side. So that's what it does, like a very basic summary of what proximity means, and how you can apply it in your designs. So like I said, if you have questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section, and we will address them. So moving on, we have white space. White space has been talked about a lot in the design space of like for quite a while now, actually, because it's something that most times as beginners we usually miss. I did miss it a lot of the time because back then when we all started out, or when I started out, I used to just clog just clog all my designs and put everything together, make sure that every information is bold and covers all the space in the artboard. But I noticed that, of course, with time we all get to learn that there is something called white space, and it is of massive importance. White space is the design that is not there. White space is that space. It doesn't necessarily have to be white in color. It doesn't have to be and it doesn't have to be a white space in that context. But it's a space. It is the space that helps your design to breathe more. It's the space that helps your design to have that's it, breathing space, just that space. So here is an example of what white space is. You can see from here, this area, there's white space here, there's white space on this area, and then there's white space here, there's white space here as well. All of this, even inside this yellow box, right, all of these spaces, it's called white space. Why is it necessary? You cannot have the words. Your design will literally be struggling for breath, and that's not a very good way to make designs. That's not a very good way to make designs. There is no, in quotes, correct way to use white space, because white space is just space. It's like coming into a room, and you can choose to arrange a room, like put the bed on the left, put the table on the right, or put the table on the left and put the bed on the right. It doesn't matter. There is no hard and fast rule on how to use white space, but there are definitely principles on how to use it, and so you should always follow the principle, and you should always know its importance in your designs. So that's why it is a very key principle in composition and layout. Here is another example of good use of white space, where this illustration is put on the right. There is a very good amount of white space surrounding it. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be white in color, right? It doesn't have to be white in color. There is a yellow white space here, yellow white space. So you can see this example. So Precious is asking if the videos can be made available. Yes, on the website, the videos will be there for you to see. Ikuka Chinacherem is asking if white space is basically spacing. Yeah, you could say that in relation to your text and your images, or in relation to the text inside the design, it's the spacing inside the design. But there are different types of spacing, so we can't just say it's basically spacing. There are different types of spacing. You have spaces in between your text. That's kind of your leading, and not just I'll be tracking one of them actually. I'm so sorry. So it's not just that, it's not just anyhow spacing, but spacing in relation to your artboard or the things that are on your design, right? So that's what white space is. I would have shown you more examples if I do have them, but these are all I have right now. Okay, so let's quickly move on to alignment. Please don't forget to drop your questions. I'm here to answer you. Alignment. So alignment is basically your text or your design. It doesn't necessarily have to be just text, because these examples now are showing just text. So it does not have to be only text, but I will use text to explain this. So alignment is when your text here aligns with what comes under or above it, under or above the text. And so it basically helps the eyes. The alignment, the importance of alignment is to help your eyes to focus, is to guide your eyes to focus from beginning to the end. If you read this design, for example, now if you read this from up to down, right, it will be very easy for your eyes to move. But say for example, this body of text here is somewhere in the middle or somewhere afar off. It will be a lot more difficult to to read it from your eyes. Let me show you an example. So I'll quickly take this off. I'll quickly make something right now and show you why alignment is important. Okay, so quickly I'll just make something. Meanwhile, questions please. I need questions to answer. Alignment. So please, you can show them my screen. Okay, so I'll be typing out some things and I will just show you the differences between types, that because they're actually types of alignment, right? So I'll show you something now. This is alignment and why alignment is important. Sorry. So white space is also, I'm getting a question here if white space is also known as negative space. Yes and no, because negative space can have a different context, especially when it gets to logo design and branding. So white space, we could just refer to it as white space. It can also be referred to as negative space in some areas, but then again, not all areas. So let's just leave it as white space. Yes. So yes. Okay. So let's move on. Moving on to my design, right? I'm sorry, I'm trying to work on this. I want to show you different types of alignments, right? So why it's important. So please hold on a bit. So here we go. This is alignment, right? If you notice from here, you can see that there is this left aligned kind of thing. So from the left, this begins here and this begins here. It begins on the same line, sort of. This is a ruler, so I'll just put this to guide you. This means it is left aligned, right? And so when you want to read this, you read from left, top left, and then you read down to bottom right. So it's easier to read stuff like this because of the type of alignment that it has. Okay, but when you now move the text a bit, like it's not aligned at all, you can literally see the difference. It's painful to the eyes to see. Actually, let me make a duplicate and do a comparison. uh, okay, so yes, this is left aligned, and this one sorry, this one is the correct thing. This is what it means for it to be aligned here. But when your text moves, say something like this, there is this sort of distraction, and it just feels so there's a bit of friction here when you want to read it. Nobody will tell you because it's your eyes seeing it, it's you who is reading it, but we both know to ourselves that the thing is not, it's not good enough for you to see, and that's why alignment is really important. So right now I'll just show you the other types of alignments, then we can move on. So this is left aligned, it's called left aligned. And here we have center aligned. So if you are conversant with Adobe Illustrator, you can know that there is this align tab here, and if you move this here, sorry, in relation to the text, sorry, here it will align to the center, and then you align the text. Okay, sorry. Yes, so this is center aligned. This is more in use for, let's say, maybe cards, birthday cards or something, wedding cards. If you notice wedding invitations, they usually use center aligned, and this is mostly for social media stuff, social media designs, or website designs. It's usually left aligned, but for cards and other stuff like that, you know, they make use of center aligned, right? So the last one is the left aligned one. Sorry, right aligned, because this is left, this is center, and this is the last one is the right aligned. Here on Adobe Illustrator, you change this and make this, yes. So this one is right aligned. People don't make use of this most times. People don't make use of this most times because, it's the eyes read better when you're reading from top left to bottom right. So from top left to bottom right, if you are reading from here down to here, it's more difficult for you to read this. You go here and then you start from another line, start from another place on the next line, you start from another place on the next line. It's actually easier when you are all starting from one place here, one place, and you read this line, come back to this same point, read this line, come back to this same point, and read this line. But for the other ones, your eyes would actually be a bit stressed reading the different lines, and this one is actually even worse because there's nothing aligned here. Okay, so let's move on from alignment. I'm very sure we've gotten a little hang of what that means. I hope that if we have questions, we are dropping them on the comment sections. So yes, this is an example of alignment. This is another example of alignment. This is center aligned. there is if you watch the grids or the rulers, they are easily understandable when you see that this one means that this is the center of the page, and this is what you are going to be seeing as a middle. This is the middle, and this is aligned to the center. This is aligned to the center. Everything here is center aligned, but this is just to show you a small example. I already did the major example for you for alignment, right? So here we have hierarchy. This is the next topic we are facing, hierarchy. So hierarchy is a visual technique that can help the viewer navigate your work. It is very, very important. Hierarchy is extremely important in design because it helps the viewer to know what is most important in your design. For example, let's say we are doing a wedding card design. For example, wedding card, we all have seen wedding cards or wedding invites, right? And you notice that, you open the wedding card, the major thing on the wedding card should be, let's say, the person's name, like the two people getting married. That should be like the most important thing. That should be the thing that catches your eye first. That should be the most important detail. But for some, you would see that when the usual Nigerian wedding cards, the families of so 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 and so and so 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 and so, the families of so 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 and so. Just imagine a wedding card where the families of is bigger than the names of the people who are getting married. That's like a terrible design choice. That's extremely terrible because it will be what will catch my eye first is if the families of, and not the what I'm supposed to see, what I want to see. And so hierarchy is really important in design because it will help the viewer to navigate your work. This is an example of good hierarchy. Save the date. Save the date, and if you look at this design, the very first thing you see, is save the date. If you look at this design, the very first thing you see is save the date, and then the next thing you will see, your eyes will see, is Corey and Anthony, and then before your eyes will focus on the remaining things, which is for the marriage of this. So hierarchy is extremely important, and I hope that we're able to apply this principle in the nearest future. Someone is asking a question. Ikuka is asking a question. So center align starts from the middle of the first letter. I don't think I understand that question, actually. Middle of the first letter. I don't think I understand the question. So if you can rephrase your question, I will get it very well. So yes, hierarchy, and it's important, right? I'm very sure most of us have seen. There is one. I could not get the picture before coming here, but there used to be one very popular picture I usually use to explain hierarchy. Let me try and create it from scratch so we can all see. Just give me a few seconds. In the meantime, if you have questions, put them in the comment section. So working on something. So in the meantime, I want to give a big shout out to the amazing team here at O&E Studio. Everyone, the reception was really amazing. I came here for the very first time today, and there was this reception, very, very massive love. I want to say thank you to you guys, especially for this opportunity as well. Thank you so much. So hierarchy, Ikuka again is asking a question. So hierarchy draws attention to the main details of your designs. Yes, that's what it's supposed to do. That's its function, and that's what you are supposed to take advantage of, because you are the designer and you know what you want your people to see first. And that's why, okay, let me just digress a bit. For people who work a lot in, let's say, social media graphics, and you work with people who create content, you work hand in hand with content creators, you have to understand exactly what the content creator had in mind when he or she was creating that content, or maybe that topic. For example, you have to know what the person, you have to understand the points. You know, when they give you your file, or like the design file in Word, sorry, the content file in a Word document, you don't just copy and paste the file on your design, and anything that this, as far as it enters the design, we just put it there. No, you have to actually understand the points. Why? What is this person saying? What is this person communicating? What am I supposed to put out? What is the most important thing in this content? And so that will now make your design to stand out better, because you actually know what you are saying. You're working hand in hand with the person, and you know what you want to say, you know what you want to put out, and that's when the design is a successful design in quotes, or that's when the design works. The same thing applies to let's say other aspect, not just social media designs, now other design generally, other designs. For example, let's say a YouTube thumbnail. This is, we're on YouTube right now, so a YouTube thumbnail, we all know what a YouTube thumbnail is. That small rectangular stuff that you see when you click on a YouTube video, right? So you want to make sure that the most important thing is what you are making bold. The most important text is what you are making big, right? Not just big. You can also do it with you can also create hierarchy with color. Color, there's size, there's color, and then there's even the style of the font, or the style of anything of the typeface. Yes, that's the font, the style of the font. You can create a visual hierarchy with that as well. All right, so yes, more questions. I'm still trying to create this thing. I want to show you. I really want to make sure you see it, so that you can really understand what hierarchy means. So just give me a sec. So far so good. I hope that we have learned a thing or two. I hope that we have our pencils, or rather our pens and papers, um, ready. Not ready, I mean, like, writing. Actually, I hope we have been be writing, and getting a few stuff from here, because this is optimized and equipped. This is the design with me series that we have brought to you. All right, I'm done with what I want to show you, and here it is. Here. So it's I didn't do it very well. This is just the it was just now I tried to create this, but what this is trying to tell you is that even whether or not this was not the very first thing on this design, this sentence is like, or this phrase is like the very first thing on the design, but I'm very sure your eyes saw this statement first. You probably saw this first, right? And then you saw this one second, this one on top, and then this one was probably the last thing you saw. This is something I have done. I've just created visual hierarchy with the size of the text, right? I could have done this using a different font, or using a different, color for this. Maybe I would have changed this color, because that one will now draw your attention first. Okay, so this is basically the summary of hierarchy in design. You get to see the things that are more important first. You can use this as a superpower to draw clients, especially for marketing designs, what you want them to see first, and all of that. Okay, So moving on. Our next is repetition. The concept of repetition. Please excuse me as I quickly look this. Okay, so repetition is that principle whereby you use similar stuff for related graphics, right? It's that reminder that every project should have a consistent look and feel. So when you have a project and you know you want to, most especially for branding, or not just branding actually, or maybe you are working with a particular brand, and you have to make things look consistent. That's like consistency, not just repetition, consistency in your designs. Let's say having to use a particular typeface for for like the same typeface in your project, or consistent typeface, consistent fonts used throughout your project. You make sure that you use them as often as possible. Make sure that you're using them correctly as well. Not just fonts, you can also make use of colors. Not just colors, you can do illustration styles. You can do illustration styles. You can do um, graphic style patterns and all that. The repeated in a way that will make the designs for the brand look consistent, make the brand look recognizable. For example, I'm sure we must have seen McDonald's. If you see their ads, McDonald's ads are very, very creative, and they are totally out of the box. But there is most times they don't even use the same style. But when you see them, you would know the recognizable red and yellow is always there. So that's repetition. You can repeat colors, you can repeat typefaces, you can repeat image styles, repeat anything. So this is an example why we shouldn't have homework. And then sorry, this is there is this font here. This is a font. I don't know the name of this font because I was not the one who designed this. So there is this font, and there are these colors. This is cyan, green, yellow, orange, uh, orange again, darker orange, and then pink. So these colors are consistent. If you check the next slide, this is like a pitch deck presentation. This is just an example of a pitch deck. So if you check the next slide, this is um, this is the same font again. These fonts here are these fonts. This font here is this second font here, right? So everything is consistent. The typefaces are consistent, and then these colors are the colors that we just made mention of in the previous slide. And so if you check, I don't have the whole presentation here, but you would get to know that in this whole pitch deck presentation, these fonts and these colors and everything here is absolutely consistent and very much make the brand have a consistent look and feel. So I'm having a question here. How can we use hierarchy principle on pictures from Motunrayo Esther? So I will have to give you or show you an example of that. But basically, let me just say it. Okay, let me just say it. How can we use hierarchy principle on pictures? It depends on what you are designing. If you are making use of multiple pictures, or one picture and then different one picture and then the text. You can have one picture and then text on your design. You can have um, you can have different pictures, and then pick out the most important. So the rule stays the same. If it is the most important thing, if the picture is the most important thing, let it take like a side of the design, like probably the whole right, because like I explained earlier, the eyes read text from top left to bottom right. So your text or whatever you are doing can be on the left side of your design, and then the right side you have your image there. If it's one image, you make it bold, make it very catchy, and you make it look important as it is. If there are more than one image, if there are one or more images, if there are, sorry, two or more images, then you always have the right to play with your sizing. Make sure the most important image that you want to make people see first is coming, is made bigger. Like, you increase the size of that image, and then you continue like that. So I guess I answered that question. Scrolling back to what we were talking about on um, repetition. So these really make your work look very consistent, and yes, I think I have explained this. So, side notes, I'm a brand identity designer, and I will be a bit partial to the branding people. So for consistency, for repetition, right? Repetition is extremely important when it comes to branding. If you are creating a brand identity, I don't know if this sounds foreign to you, because this class is a fundamentals class, so I hope it does not sound foreign. So for those who want to specialize in brand identity design, that's logo design, branding, color palettes, and creating a brand from scratch to finish, uh, repetition is extremely important to you, because you need to learn to um, create a brand that would use all of these things, and the brand will have to use them in different areas. Okay, so not just slapping your colors on the logo and all that, and that's how it will end. You have to learn how to apply these colors, apply them on your like I have made mention of McDonald's. I will implore each and every one of you who want to further in brand identity to check out